Hey, Mega, I've compiled a list of ways that your president has ruined the American economy to the point of no return. So I'm going to be rapid firing that so your simple brain can go ahead and comprehend the damage you've done to the United States with your vote. Without further ado, let's dive in. First and foremost was the tariff war that he initiated with China. I'm not going to dive into it. I can if you guys would like me to. But essentially, this has eliminated access to manufacturing goods. China is a global powerhouse for manufacturing. The entire global economy depends upon Chinese manufacturing. This has eliminated access to a lot of manufacturing goods we need, like precious minerals, to build and manufacture tech devices in the United States, tech devices as a fundamental whole, fashion, and most importantly, medicine, antibiotics. So the goods that we do still have access to, we are now paying tariffs on, and tariffs are not paid by China. They are paid by the importer, which in turn causes a price increase for you. On day one of his presidency, he signed an executive order abolishing the SAFES Act established by the Biden administration to bail out farms in red states during the pandemic, leading to a lot of foreclosures and auction of American farms. And if your American farm is still standing, well, then half or all of your workforce has been deported or committed to a concentration camp that your tax dollars fund. Now, we're just getting started, but this is where things start to get interesting. The tariff war that he started with the entire global economy, accompanied by the fact that he's erecting concentration camps in the United States of America and funding a genocide half a world over, giving billionaires tax breaks, basically forced the entire globe to boycott red state exports. So they are specifically not buying anything that comes from a state that voted for President Donald Trump. And a perfect example of the fuck around and find out with this is the American whiskey corporations. 3 separate whiskey companies have filed bankruptcy in the month of July alone, eliminating 23,000 jobs from the American job market. But here's the thing, the world didn't stop at just our whiskey. They also said, we're not going to take American beef anymore. Instead of buying beef from the United States of America, they're now getting it from Australia instead. So that's another export we lost to the global economy. Now, we all know that America didn't just enter into a tariff war with China, but also with our neighbors, Canada and Mexico. America's 3 largest exports are lumber, medicine, and petroleum. All of which we broker, meaning we buy low and we sell high. We used to get our medicine from China, our lumber from Canada, and our petroleum from Mexico. Every single economy in the world has essentially cut out America as the middleman and decided to buy lumber, petroleum, and medicine directly from the source, meaning we are no longer the export giants for these 3 major exports that sustain our economy. And I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. That's fine. We still have the automotive industry. That's a heavy export header for the United States. Wrong. 5 foreign manufacturing giants that have plants in the United States have announced that they will be closing all of their plants specifically to move them to Mexico just to boycott the presidential administration in the United States of America. And you're like, that's fine. I'll just buy American. Actually, you won't, because both Ford and Chrysler have announced that they have no profits to report for the first and second quarter of 2025 due to the tariff wars and the global boycotts, which is going to lead to massive layoffs with no government bailout because Democrats give bailouts, not aristocrats. If you're starting to panic, just wait. There's more. China has actually signed a trade treaty with Mexico to build a canal going directly through Mexico, eliminating the need for the Panama Canal, further rendering the United States completely fucking useless in the global economy. If you're banking on the made-up power of the American dollar to save the American economy, that's not going to happen either. Mexico and Brazil just signed a treaty completely eliminating the American dollar as their primary form of currency used to settle all foreign and domestic debts. And furthermore, they are creating their own bank. Do you understand the significance of this? Probably not. Let's dive in deeper. You guys wanted to make America great again, when in reality what you did was you made Mexico great, because it doesn't stop there. Mexico and Canada have signed another trade treaty eliminating America from what was formerly known as the North American Free Trade Association and previously renamed to I can't fucking remember what. But these neighbors are not only no longer trading with us, but they are no longer our allies. They are not providing us any export goods for us to fucking broker. Home Depot has announced that they will be pulling a lot of American locations, once again, costing thousands of Americans their jobs, because they are now investing $1.3 billion in, guess who? Guess, Mexico. And this is because they anticipate a massive boom in their housing market. The rest of the world knows that Mexico and Canada have picked up the economic ball that America has dropped, and they are making trade agreements and investments specifically with Mexico. So essentially, Canada and Mexico are now exporting everything we used to while eliminating the use of the American dollar for the global economy. The automotive industry is hitting a record-breaking low in the United States, so you can expect massive layoffs to sales and service staff. And we're just getting started on the global economy. Now we're going to talk about the home side of things. With them defunding the CDC and the FDA, your food and your drug is no longer regulated, which is why we see a massive uptick in E. coli outbreaks. But you don't see that because Fox News doesn't report that. Fox News also does not report that nobody will buy any food or drug from the United States of America because of the lax regulations on the FDA and the CDC. They know that what we eat here is deadly and poisonous. That is what you eat, and they refuse to buy. With America defunding the CDC and backing off the WHO, the World Health Organization, we've also seen a massive uptick in HIV and AIDS cases in southern cities like Houston, Miami, Atlanta, and oddly enough, the Carolinas. So that's fun. Now I realize there's a lot of off-grid American survivalists who are like, I'm not worried about E. coli or HIV. That doesn't bother me, or the slow burn of diabetes and cancer doesn't affect you because you live off grid. You should take a lot of comfort in the fact that the EPA has been completely defunded. That's right, the Environmental Protection Agency, which is responsible for making sure that big corporations in the United States don't poison the soil you grow your food in, the water you fish in, or the air you breathe. That no longer exists. So even you off-gridders aren't safe. Now, if you're just a regular American like I am, you should know that if you make less than $200,000 a year, which is 90% of the United States, you are going to pay more in taxes. Majority of Americans are going to see a $1,500 increase when they file next year. The tourist economy is at an all-time low, specifically for any state that voted red, because countries are specifically boycotting red states in the United States, as previously mentioned. But also, the United States as a whole has been deemed unsafe to travel to because we are on a global genocide watch list. And a lot of countries are advising their citizens not to come to the United States specifically because of ICE kidnappings. And Vegas is a perfect example of that. It is a ghost town. They've already laid off majority of bellhops and valets. They've just announced massive layoffs, and most CEOs, CFOs, and COOs are now completely resigning from these monstrous Vegas hotels. On top of our president defunding the Center for Disease Control, the Food and Drug Administration, and the Environmental Protection Agency, he has also defunded the Department of Education, the National Weather Association, FEMA, Medicaid, and food stamps. And this is what the kicker is, right? Everybody in the entire world, and I literally mean the entire fucking world, understands the concept of taxation. You tax everybody in this specific country, so you have a pool of resources to ensure that the people you tax have access to programs like free healthcare, like free education, like upgraded infrastructure, unemployment, and where applicable, bailouts for things like whiskey companies going under, automotive manufacturers, or unemployment for every single fucking state. Every single country in the world understands that the taxes you collect from the citizens are for the citizens. The only people who cannot register this concept are, in fact, Republicans in the United States. And what the fuck? Let me just paint this picture crystal clear for all the Magladites who refuse to accept reality as if that's going to somehow stop it from happening to them. The fall of America is not going to be the fall of the United States of America. There's no revolution or civil war coming. There's not a hostile takeover by a fascist dictator, even all-out anarchy for that matter, because red states don't have the economy to launch any type of war in defense or support of the current administration. And do you want to know why? Because blue states are the American economy. We make the American economy. We are donor states, and they call us donor states because we pay federal taxes that bail you guys out. You are the very welfare babies that you try to vote against. And at some point, we are going to get tired of you perpetually voting against your own self-interest. And just like the rest of the world, we're going to cut you the fuck off. We're going to stop paying federal taxes, and you're going to be forced to live in squalor and poverty. And your president is not coming to save you. You think the man who cut your children's education so he could build a $200 million golden ballroom is going to save you? The man who cut your food stamps so he could have a $91 million military parade or a $31 million security detail so he could go fucking golfing is going to come and save you? No, nobody is coming to save you. Do you understand that? When you can't eat the food because it's too poisonous, you can't grow it because your soil is poisoned, you can't fish it because your lakes and rivers are, you're breathing in the poison. And then when you get so sick from your fucking government poisoning you, you're not going to be able to work. You won't have any unemployment to collect, you won't have food stamps to feed you your poisonous fucking food, and you won't have health care to treat you. You better hope to dear God that a tornado or a flood takes you out, because the alternative is dying a slow, sick, impoverished death in the version of America that you fucking voted for. Jesus fucking Christ.